Hi, my name is Nick Bittner. I'm a second year student at Cankdeska Cikana Community College out of Fort Totten on the Spirit Lake Indian Reservation. Um, the reason I got involved with them is I actually grew up in Devil's Lake, and they are just 8 miles out of town from my hometown, where I met Mike Parker, who is my faculty advisor. He is someone I went to school with. Originally, I was a wind turbine technician. I worked with, well, the big wind turbines you see on the side of the road when you're driving to Grand Forks. And I actually used to work on those systems professionally. It was my job for many years. And that's how I met Mike Parker. We actually were both in school for that at the same time. And my aunt Heather, she is advisor out for Cankdeska. And she's worked there for many years now, and she's very good at her job. And when I was saying I was thinking about a career change, she suggested that I looked into the 2-year engineering program that they offered at their school. And that's kind of where the ball started rolling for me into a bit of a different career. I went from working in wind energy to working on my family's farm. I live in the house my dad grew up in. I have been farming for many years, and it was just time for a change. I always have loved engineering, and I had a good opportunity to pursue that. And that's how I ended up here. Right now, I'm going to get my associate's degree in engineering from Cankdeska Cikana Community College, and then I plan on moving on to get my bachelor's. There are a few options open, but I am looking at NDSU primarily just because of the research I'm involved in with NDS ACEs and through EPSCoR. Currently, I am helping develop a different profile for variation of cancer treatments, which has been very rewarding. I came into this area of STEM more so by it finding me. I was not looking for being anything beyond a mechanical engineer. And they had an opportunity that they presented to my faculty advisor, and he said, "You need to be involved in this because they need engineering help and you can do it." And I ended up down this road of a lot of biomedical engineering, and I'm finding myself being more and more immersed in it. And I never thought I would. I always thought I would just be a mechanical engineer slinging metal, saying where weld should go and use stronger metal. And here I'm working with pharmaceutical studiers and a lot of chemists and biologists working on a platform to move cancer treatments forward. And I never thought I'd be able to do that as an engineer, where here I am, a lowly associate's degree, and I'm helping out in a way I never imagined I could. I don't think I have to say how important helping find a cure for cancer is. Uh, it's been something that has been closer to me in the past couple of years because my maternal grandfather actually had prostate cancer. And while he battled and won, he has since passed from something else that came about. They found because of the cancer, and it just became very personal to me that right after I had gone through all of that, my advisors came forward and said, "Hey, we have a group that they're going to target breast cancer, prostate cancer, and pancreas cancer as part of the study. Is that something you'd want to be involved in?" And it had become very personal to me since my grandfather had passed. And it was a way for me to give back. This area of study, it it's very daunting at first because there is so much that goes into it. You never you never really know what the problems are going to be. They're very, very complex, and it makes it fun in a way that it's challenging. I recently spent a week in the lab at NDSU working with chemists, biochemists, pharmaceutical studies, and cell culturing expert. And it was just such an eye-opening experience for me because I have had virtually no background in any of those, where I had people on my team who could breed the cells that we were working on in a small flask, and we would have the cells to do the studies. It's like, that is just something that I never thought would be part of what I did. And here I could work with them in their discipline and learn what they needed from me better. These cells need certain flows. They need the ability to exchange gases. They need a 3D structure so they don't fall in on themselves when they are multiplying. And it causes a very intricate set of problems that you can't solve by yourself. You have to rely on other people's knowledge, and they have to rely on you. And it becomes a very tight-knit community. I developed a well plate that was going to help the cell culturing guys from a pharmaceutical aspect, because that's who I had in my lab at the time. And we asked a cell expert about it, and he goes, well, what are you going for with this? It's like, well, is it what you need? Will this help? He goes, well, if you're going for killing all the cells because they're not going to have the ability to do this, then yes. If you want to keep the cells alive, this won't work. And it's something that if we would have just asked when we started, it would have never come up. And it was just very enlightening that if you have the people that have the knowledge you need, the work you need to do can be more fruitful and easier. I am more of an advocate for involving undergraduates in research because I view it gives you a better understanding of what real life work is. I think that just going to college and taking the classes and doing nothing else beyond that is not a good representation of where you actually could end up. There's a class that I did very poorly in that I didn't think I would ever want anything to do with that. And then I started constructing modeling in a laboratory where it involved those calculations I would use during that class very heavily. And in the lab, it was fortuitous that I knew how to do that. And I actually found myself enjoying something that I had almost despised during the school year. And I believe if you have the opportunity to get out of your comfort zone and be involved in some research that can help someone, go for it. It'll change your life. Well, it changed mine. And if you're looking to have those opportunities, you just have to reach out. There are a lot of people who are willing to help if you are just willing to ask for the help. And I think that if you're a high school student that has any background or wants to learn, there is a multitude of people here who have knowledge that they want to share every day. And the ideas you come up with when you talk to more people, it helps move projects along. And just because you have a different perspective on that is not a bad thing. a lot of people want to be this cookie cutter example of what they think the industry wants. And that is not who I am, and it's not what I go for. I like to come up with very simple methods to solve complex problems. There was a project in the lab before I got there that involved all these moving parts and let cells distribute waste, and it was an extremely complicated method. And a fresh set of perspective came in, and it was like, well, why don't we just do this with a little bit of fluid flow and make an external pipe that allowed the solution to be pumped in and monitored? And we all took a step back from the project and said, why aren't we doing that? Instead of having all of these motors and moving parts and wipers, and we could accomplish the same thing by just flowing a little water. And it's that outside perspective of someone who has a different background is the only reason we got to that solution. And to be different is good. To be able to come at a problem from a completely different angle of solving it is a wonderful thing. And I think it's not something that is always looked for. People just want the solution, and most of the time there are infinite possibilities of how to solve that problem. Like working with computer assisted modeling, CAD programs like Inventor and Fusion 360, and a lot of people are probably familiar with SolidWorks. We did a kind of a challenge in one of my classes I took, where our instructor just put a shape on the board and said, make this. That's all the background he gave. He said, you know how to use the tools. You know how to extrude these shapes. He goes, I need you to make this piece for me. And our entire class said, sure. And we all went to work. We figured out there was more than 9 ways to get to that same part using completely different methods. And it just really dawned on me that to approach a problem from a different perspective is a good thing. And I think if you have the imagination to solve a problem differently, that's more valuable to a team than just doing everything the standard way or the way people expect you to. STEM programs are dear to my heart. I instructed at a college for a couple years teaching digital electronics, electricity courses, and digital circuitry. And after working in the field in a technician's position, I have to say that working a STEM job that doesn't involve a laboratory is still a very fulfilling position to be in. I was a technician for wind turbines for, 5 years before I moved on and started doing more work with environmental liaison for wind sites and managing more. And the ability to go and fix something with your own hands, solve a problem that came to you that was difficult at first, but you were able to solve because of your technical know-how and the fact that you could do the work physically with your own hands, is nothing to be ashamed of. You don't have to go to a 4-year school to have a good life or to do a job you dream of. If it is something that is in your best interest, or it's the only way to accomplish the goal you're setting out to, then by all means. I'm not here to say a 4-year school is a bad thing, but I'm here to say that a trade school is a great place to start. You usually are in a smaller class. You get more one-on-one time with your instructor to better understand the material. You get a lot of opportunities that you don't always get at the bigger schools because there are fewer people. And there usually is quite the cost advantage of taking those same classes from a smaller school. Like right now, I'm actually saving money going to school at a smaller school than I would be taking the exact same course at a larger school. And I'm probably getting more one-on-one time with my instructors from all of the TCUs than just because I'm not in a class of 150 people. And I view that two-year community colleges are just a wonderful place to start your college career, and many people find a very happy life doing that. So don't be afraid of a 2-year degree being all you're set out to accomplish. Because just because you work with your hands doesn't mean it's not a STEM job and you're not making a difference.